Hi, I'm Nick Labonte. Welcome to Your Wednesday's My Monday. I don't know how good the framing or the sound will be on this video, but we're still going to go ahead anyway. It should improve over the coming weeks as I realize all the stupid mistakes I'm making. So let's start with what's the name. So literally it's only because even though I'm a writer, I don't make a living from it just yet, so I have to have a day job like a lot of people who work in the arts, especially at the start. And I limit my day job to part-time, so I have more time to write. And basically I start on Wednesdays. So while people are getting over their hump days, Wednesday is my Monday. It's not like I don't work the rest of the week. I do a lot of wrestling, a lot of writing, acting when I can. So really I'm working usually 7-day weeks. I'm always working on something. For those of you who follow me in various places of the internet, this will be a little bit redundant, but for the rest of you, here's basically what I do. So I'm Nick, I'm 25. I am a aspiring writer in that I write every day until people will pay money to read the stuff that I write. And I wrestle. I'm not sure if this is something I do just for fun now. I used to do it because I wanted to improve my acting, but I sort of enjoy it on its own now. I'm not striving to make a career out of it. Not only do I not think I have the right skill set for it, it's mostly just because the rigors of that world are something I don't think I'd be able to deal with. It's a lot of physical exhaustion, a lot of pain. People are often wrestling every day, so it's not really something I'm interested in making a career out of, but I do enjoy doing it. As for acting, well, that's sort of what I wanted to do, and it's been really slow lately, and it's really hard to find people who have the same kind of, sometimes the same kind of drive, other times just the same kind of vision as you. So I've sort of refocused more on writing lately, but acting is something I'd love to do. Maybe when writing picks up and I'm a best-selling author, because that's where I'm headed, maybe then I'll start auditioning for the films that are made out of my books and star in my own films and my own books. You know, that's a plan. Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to have to do here as I drive to work, I am going to have to stop at the gas station because I was dumb and left my car at empty last night. So now I need a gas station. I'm kind of lucky that it started today. It's not too cold, but you know, still something you don't want to be doing during winter. So I'm going to be stopping here very shortly for some gas. A bit of a disclaimer, I tend to road rage a bit, but I'll probably edit all those little moments out. I'm still thinking about the format of this and what it's really going to end up being. I think it's going to be a lot of me talking to the camera about whatever pops into my brain. I don't feel like this is something that should be planned. And now I'm going to pull into the gas station and put in some gas. And we're back. So we resume the drive. It's usually about a 20-minute drive, so I'll have some time to talk about a couple things. Not sure what I'm going to talk about for this first one. I think it's just going to start to babble, and it's going to eventually amount to something that makes sense. I'm not used to talking to a camera very openly and honestly. Usually when I'm in front of a camera, I'm pretending I'm somebody else. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy acting, and I had an audition yesterday for a student film. I didn't get the part, but it was interesting to see that I'm already getting better at reading characters. I don't know if that's due more to acting or writing, because in writing you sort of have to build these characters yourself, and you have to find the little things that make those characters unique and real without shoving them into people's faces. There's a fine balance I found between forcing a character's personality and just letting them do what they're going to do. It comes from something Stephen King says. I'm very bad at quoting people. I paraphrase like crazy. I think it's the ideas behind what people say that are more important than the specific words they use. At least that's how I excuse my terrible habit of paraphrasing smarter people than myself. But Stephen King says that when he writes, he's less like God, he's more like a secretary. And it relates to sort of not making things happen, not forcing things to happen, not choosing what happens, but sort of sitting back and watching them happen and chronicle them as they do. And I've been writing for almost my whole life. When I was younger, in high school, I wasn't very popular, and what I used to do instead of hanging out with people after school and going out drinking and so on, I mean, it's not to say that I'm better than anybody else. If I'd had the chance at 15 to go out drinking and party with girls and stuff, I would have totally done that, like, without a doubt. But I wasn't really cool enough, probably still not cool enough, and instead I would go home, and there was this website called Galcom, which was a Star Wars role-playing site. So basically how it was built was you had a game itself where you had a character that sort of moved around like a map, and you would have different skills that you could use. Like I remember my character was an engineer, so he would go around building things and creating items that you could then trade with other people. And it was all very low graphics. You didn't have anything like Star Wars Galaxies or the Old Republic where you have actual character models. It's almost like a text-based adventure game, except that it was an MMO and had a little bit more graphics. Literally just the map and some JPEGs of ships and things like that. Anyway, there was the game aspect in which your character moved around on these planets, went to different places, did all these things, fighting against other factions and their alliances with ships. So you have situations where the Republic and the Jedi would be at war, and maybe the Republic and the Sith would be allied. And the whole reason those things happened was because there was this other side of the game, which was on the forums, which was role-playing. So you take your character that you made for this game, and then on the site, you would create stories with them and with other writers. So you have a very big galactic event, like for example, the Republic ending its alliance with the Jedi and aligning with the Sith. I don't remember why that happened. Maybe one of my Galcom buddies can comment on this and remind me how that happened. I remember it was a big deal. And you'll have a post on the forums about the people behind that change that will role-play their characters and sort of give you a reason for why that happened. It's really interesting, a really cool way to spend my afternoons. Anyway, all that to say that during high school, I used to write on these forums a lot. And back then, I sort of decided what I wanted to happen before I wrote the story, which wasn't very conducive to writing with other people because you're trying to force your narrative on them, so there's not really a point for them from their perspective to really roleplay with you because you are trying to force something, you're trying to force your own storyline regardless of their input. And no one really wants to feel like they're playing second fiddle to another writer. So I think in the years I spent writing there, I sort of learned this a little bit, but it only really came into focus in this past year of focusing 100% on writing fiction, where you don't want to force your storyline, you don't want to force your characters to do the things you think they're going to do. There's sort of this thing that happens where when you sort of sit back and just write what happens, the characters sort of do things themselves. It sounds very strange, I'm aware, and it's hard to explain unless you experience it yourself, but when you make that switch, when you decide that you sit back and let the story happen rather than make it happen, your characters will surprise you and will actually come to life almost on their own. Now, I'm not saying that it's magical. I mean, obviously, if I'm the writer, I'm doing this. But there's this mindset, this frame of mind where you let the characters do their thing and then you as a writer become sort of a tool for them to exist. But I'm convinced that since I made that switch, my writing has become exponentially better. I let things happen, and it often takes me places I really hadn't expected them to take me. In the novel that I just wrote, Saviors of Valorest, I finished the first draft last month, and now I'm writing some short stories in between to let it breathe, and I'll come back to it at the end of the month to start and end it. There's a character in the novel called Benthi, and he started out as this side character that wouldn't really have much more of a purpose than being the team's sort of medic, the doctor. So as I started letting him go and doing his own thing, he sort of gained this whole other dimension to him that I didn't even plan to add in there. He grew a lot more vicious. I mean, he's a mercenary, so he kind of needed that side of him, but there's a bit of a, I don't want to say a darkness to him because it's a very cliche thing to say, but there's a side to him that you wouldn't expect from a medicine man. A side where you know that if you're standing between him and his payout, he probably won't hesitate to slit your throat. And it led to some very interesting dialogue between him and my main character, Bavard. Dialogue that I didn't really expect and plan to put in there. So there's really a strength in letting your characters do what they need to do. Because I think if I tried to force something like that on Benthi, he would have become a very cliched anti-hero type character. But now he's kind of this creepy, older, middle-aged man who, while he's stitching you up, might tell you about that one experiment he made where he, sliced a guy from elbow to shoulder. The one thing with that approach is that sometimes it can lead to a very chaotic first draft, is the best way to put it. I think I'm a bit of a pantser, so I don't plan things out like crazy in advance. I used to. For this novel that I wrote, I had a ton of notes that I wrote over several months, and I planned out a lot of the religion, a lot of the other organizations, a lot of the characters, and then when I ended up actually sitting down and starting to write, a lot of that went right out the window. I'm still glad I did that work because a lot of that stuff was changed or altered or reflected in some of the things I came up with now, but none of it really went the way that I'd originally planned for it to. And I think I stopped writing those notes when I heard Stephen King say that the notebook is sort of the worst thing a writer can have because it's a perfect way to immortalize bad ideas. And I spent a lot of time writing down every single idea I had that I thought was good. And initially I thought this is kind of a silly approach. I mean, what if I miss out on something great just because I didn't write it down? The classic waking up in the middle of the night, oh, I have a great idea, writing it down, and then in the morning look at it like, maybe it wasn't that great. But the second part of that statement is that the good stuff stays. He uses the analogy of a pasta strainer with breadcrumbs. So the breadcrumbs are the ideas, and the strainer is time. So as you shake it, some of the breadcrumbs fall out, fall through the holes, whereas the bigger crumbs, which he calls the good stuff, it stays. And I found that the moment I stopped writing all of my ideas down, I might still write like a turn of phrase or like a description or something like that because I think those things need to be written down because they might not stay as well. But I found that my ideas would actually stay. While I was writing my book, maybe back in December, I had an idea for these vampires that are part of this special forces corps in the army. So modern day military that uses these weird vampires, and they're very patriotic and they believe in their country, but they're still sort of this superior species that works for humans, which are inferior and they usually feed on. So I think it's definitely something I want to explore over the next few months and something definitely I want to write out. But the fact that idea stuck in my head for it's been like a month and a half, 2 months now, to me says that while it might not be a great idea, because I don't know that yet, it definitely needs to explore. I definitely need to write something with that. It's probably going to end up being just a short story, but it feels to me like the kind of idea that could become a novel. So it's part of, as I've been writing since November, I've been learning a lot, and I think these are the two most important things I've learned, to not write my ideas down, to let them sort of exist and pop up to the surface if they need to, if I'm going to write about them. And second is to sort of let the story flow, let the characters do what they need to do, let the story go where it may, and then figure the rest out in the end. I'm still at a stage where the longest thing I've completed is the first draft of the novel, and I haven't gone through the edit. So maybe once I start editing it, I might realize that approach is not good enough for me, and I might need to control my first draft a little bit more. But I think it's something I'm only going to find out when I start editing, and I'm actually both looking forward to and dreading that process. I kind of hate what I write a lot of the times, and reading it, I sort of pick out all the bad things and they sort of stick out to me more than the good stuff. So I'm kind of dreading it for that reason, but simultaneously I'm sort of looking forward to when I'll have a finished product, when I can say that I've written a novel. Because right now I'm saying, when I tell people, oh, I've written the first draft of the novel, the first question is, oh, when does it come out? And I don't really have an answer for that because I've never edited a novel before. So I'm looking forward to getting that process going and having a finished novel under my belt, and then having to worry about publishing it traditionally versus self-publishing, the cover, all those things. So I've made it to work now, so I'm going to head there. This was a good talk, and I'll see you guys next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye.